Following program is closed captioned for the thinking impaired.
By tomorrow, I will rule the world!
You think he's gone? He's not gone. That's the whole point. He's never gone.
Is this some radical new therapy?
You see?
Well, I must have not been paying attention when you were just talking to me. Do you think that you could repeat the question and I listen more attentively? There must have been something in all of that nothing that wasn't quite so easy to see.
That's the F.
And I must have missed something.
Hello.
Yeah.
You would think I'd be ready by now, but I'm really not. And don't worry about the background. So we've got,
I think you're more worried about it.
well,
Give people content. Don't worry. Forget about that.
well, for sure, nobody tunes into this show for the optics.
No, of course not. It's informative.
All right, let's get this show on the road, maybe. We're almost ready. Get the little guy. He's okay over there.
Oh yeah.
He's famous today.
Oh,
In the
he
newspaper.
is. That's why I kept him with me today. Keep him safe.
He's so friggin' adorable. It's
He
ridiculous.
is. And he's so well behaved. I'm so blessed.
He is very behaved. He's got a good mother. You can always tell the bad mothers, all you have to do is go to Market Basket. You can hear them 4 hours away.
That's why I go to Market Back when there's nobody there.
Right? All right, I guess we should. Well, one Baba. We need Baba out of Manny.
Come on, Manny. Ba, 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 ba.
You didn't hear
You
any Baba.
did it.
Did he?
No, you did it.
Oh, I did it, yeah. I'm getting better. I'm feeling better. Physical therapy 2 days a week, too. That's helping. I'm almost better. It only took 2 years. All right, let's get this show on the road. Hi, how you guys doing? My name's Tom Duggan here with the Paying Attention Podcast. High atop Golden Seal Apothecary, Main Street, North Andover, here at the new NCAM studios. I want to thank everybody at NCAM. I realized watching the last show back before I posted it on YouTube that I forgot to thank everybody here at NCAM. We have a great relationship with NCAM, and we are going to have a new background. We have Dawn Pease over at Dawn Sign Tech, who's a very good friend of mine. She's been a very big supporter of the Valley Patriot. She sponsors the bash every year. And then she says, listen, I don't need the business, so you don't have to put my business card in the program book. You don't have to post us online. She's so busy at Dawn Sign Tech. And what she does like signs for businesses. So all the signs on Main Street, if you drive Main Street, North Andover, all the signs from the very beginning all the way to the post office and beyond. She did all of these.
Really?
She did this building. She did across the street. She even did my building, Eyes on Main, which is across the street from where we are right now. Eyes on Main is downstairs from the Valley Patriot office. Okay. We're on the second floor. They're on the first floor. And I looked out one day, and she's outside my window, like in a crane. I'm like, what are you doing here?
What are you doing?
She's putting up the sign for Eyes on Main. So Dawn Sign Tech, we love her. And I'm trying to decide whether I want to do what you see there in the middle of your screen, the paying attention with the that's actually the brick wall the night that I got shot at. So you can see the 2 bullet holes. So I was thinking of putting that in the background, or maybe I got some great drone shots of Lawrence.
Okay.
Actually, Lawrence and Newburyport and a few other communities, Haverhill, North Andover.
Well, let's see what she
So I
has
was
to say,
thinking-
too.
Yeah, maybe I'll let her decide. 'Cause
Yeah, let her. She knows.
She's the expert, right?
Exactly.
And I'm going to have her on the show at some point when things start dying down. But I have one Manny Gonzalez in the studio. I'm going to get to him in a minute. I just want a couple things I want to get to first. So let's start with the unhappy stuff. Let's pull up that picture of Tina Conway, one of my favorite people in the world. She does not like me at all. There she is, Tina Conway. She has wormed her way into City Hall somehow in Methuen, and she is the chief of staff for Mayor D.J. Beauregard. She came in to replace Jana DiNatale. It's Jana. Jana DiNatale, who was the chief of staff. Tina came in to replace her, and she's such a hater. She is so vitriolic. Is that a word, vitriolic? I think it is.
Don't ask me.
And she's the chief of staff. She was under Neil Perry. In fact, she's the reason why Neil Perry had no friends when he passed away. She had isolated him so much from all of his friends and all the people who had helped him that really, like, there was nobody left talking to him toward the end. Like,
I don't know.
she had isolated
he was a
him.
smart man.
But he
I
was,
wouldn't blame anyone else for his choices.
But his physical, his health was so bad.
Yeah.
He was on a lot of medications. He was getting chemo. He was having dialysis 3 days a week. He was very weak, and she had turned him on. She convinced him that everyone around him was screwing him. And she got him to turn on me, Jana DiNatale, Jana Zanni, all the people that had the Pollards, who I don't even get along with the Pollards, but I felt bad for the way he treated Sharon Pollard's husband. And so now she has survived Neil, and she's now the chief of staff still with DJ Beauregard. You can pull her down. I can't even look at her one more minute.
It's a great picture.
It's a great picture.
You're like amazing at getting all these nice pictures
Yeah.
of people.
Listen, don't blame me. Like, I get people all the time go, you purposely took a picture of someone to make them look bad. I took that off her Facebook page. She posted that. So don't give me any crap about what I just showed you on television, because she posted that on her Facebook page. So I bring her up because she went on a profanity-laced tirade on Facebook earlier this week about Elon Musk and Donald Trump and attacking police officers, firefighters, and veterans who voted for Trump or held a sign for Trump. She pulled this. This is not a one-off, by the way. She's trying to make it seem like, she made bad judgment this one time. This is an ongoing thing with her. She got away with it under Neil Perry because Neil was never at work. He was sick. He was going to dialysis 3 days a week. He was working from home. The firefighters literally used to carry him up the stairs to his office the one day a week he would come in to actually meet with people. He would call the fire department. And people used to call me and say, that's an abuse of the fire department. You should, call the – the guy's dying. Why?
Why would you – yeah.
We're not getting along, but it doesn't mean I'm going to, do something like that. That's pretty scummy. And I felt bad for him toward the end. I wish I could have done something to help him toward the end. But she basically pushed us against each other. And she went on this profanity-laced tirade. And I'm just going to read some of it to you. Let's see. Oh, this is the apology. Do I have the actual? F you to. She's such a prize. I gotta pull this up because I got something in the way here. God, I just hate that so much. All right. F you to Elon Musk, you traitorous, gaslighting piece of shit. How dare you so disrespect public service and public servants? You and your ilk, including the asshole who illegally installed you. Like she's so unhinged. She doesn't even know what the Constitution says. Are all that is evil and wrong with the world. None of you have ever served anyone but yourselves and your bottom lines. Criminals, all of you, and all you cops and soldiers and firefighters who supported this felon in North Andover. They're talking about you too. Wow.
Seriously?
Now, let me ask you this. If you were a teacher at Methuen High School and you posted that, you think you'd have your job the next day?
Oh, no, you get fired.
If you were a firefighter or a Methuen police officer and you posted, Obama, you piece of shit, you're an a-hole, and everyone who supported you, including cops and firefighters, you think that person would have a job? How about the clerk in the assessor's office? You think that person would have their job the next day?
I think we need to bring back the respect for our president.
And this is the problem, is that you've got people who are, unfortunately, there's a lot more than it used to be, who are completely unhinged because they're so partisan. What has happened in this country is that the people who run the Democrat Party lie to their own base. If I was a member of the base of the Democrat, by the way, that's why I left the Republican Party. Both parties do it, but both parties do it differently. They have different issues that they do it with. But the leaders of the Democrat Party want their base to hate the other side. So if they come out and they say Donald Trump is a Nazi who puts babies in ovens, their base is going to believe them. People will go on Facebook and repeat that he's a Nazi that puts babies in ovens and believe it because their heroes in their party tell them that that's what's true. And then they put on MSNBC, and MSNBC tells them that that's true. And they flip over to CNN, and CNN tells them that that's true. And then they pick up the Boston Globe, and Boston Globe tells them that that's true.
Well, that whole thing about, placing him illegally, that's a narrative that the media's running with. It's actually not true.
Right. A cursory reading of the Constitution will tell you that the president is the chief executive officer of the country. He's in charge of the executive branch. He can install anybody he wants.
Yep.
And by the way, Elon Musk isn't working for the government. He's not getting paid. So he's not an employee. So, all of this, he's unelected. Well, judges are unelected.
Yeah.
How about the Attorney
names.
General? The Attorney General is unelected. How about the head of the FBI? The head of the FBI is unelected. Head of the CIA, head of the Transportation Department, all unelected. Newsflash, there's only one person that's elected in a national election. That's the president. Everyone under him is unelected. So all of this baloney narrative crap of unelected Elon Musk, you hear it, it's part of the brainwashing. It's when I was growing up, there was a group called the Moonies. Okay. There was a guy named Sun Young Moon who was a cult leader, and his followers were called the Moonies. And he would brainwash them by indoctrinating them over and over and over and making them chant over and over and over what he wanted them to believe. And then when they were having regular conversations with you, if you said, well, I think you're in a cult, they would immediately go into their trance of repeating what they were told over and over. And the partisan Democrats are exactly the same. By the way, partisan Republicans, not much better. They're better, but not much better. And so Tina Conway's been like this for a long time. This is not her first rodeo doing something like this. However, she did post an apology yesterday, and I'm going to read some of that.
I wish we had a small violin sound to play while you're reading this part.
Well, listen, I give her credit because it's more than I expected. I did not expect any apology at all. So I don't care if the mayor forced her to do this to keep her job. I don't care if her family told her she should do it to keep peace in the family or whatever. The fact that she did it, you got to give her credit. She says, on Sunday, I exercised very poor judgment, made an expletive-filled post on my Facebook page that was ill-advised and should not have been made. I read something, became angry, and violated every rule in my book, by the way. That's total bullshit. This is her book. This is her book, trust me. But again, I'm just going to give her credit because she actually did post this publicly about doing things in anger. Obviously, I have since taken the post down, and then she goes on to say, she respects firefighters and
takes it personal. And,
yeah. I apologize profusely for all the first responders, those whose service served our armed forces. I promised that I was not intending in any way to denigrate your service or your sacrifice, which okay. So I'm going to give her credit for doing it because, again, it was a lot more than I expected. I didn't expect anything, quite frankly. I expected her to double down and threaten to quit if somebody even asked her to do it because that's her personality. So I want to give her credit for it. I just think that I'm a First Amendment absolutist. I believe in free speech. However, you don't have the right to work for the city of Methuen. There's no constitutional right to be the chief of staff or a firefighter or a clerk in the assessor's office. You can have all the free speech in the world that you want. But if I worked, let's say I didn't work for government. Let's say I worked downstairs at the Golden Seal Apothecary right here on Main Street, North Andover. If I went on Facebook and I posted something like that, and my boss saw it, you think I'd keep my job? Now, if you work for the Valley Patriot, I let you say whatever you want.
I know, I love that. I can even post like bikini shots and everything.
Yeah, I don't care. And I do get complaints by elderly people who see that and think it's because from their generation, it's for them a little over the top. And I say to them, listen, she's a different generation. This is a free speech zone. She can do whatever she wants.
Thank you, Tom.
I honestly don't care. So if you want to post more bikini shots, I just want to encourage you.
I'm going to keep doing it. Thank you.
Encourage you to do that. But I think my point is I had several teachers from Methuen schools reach out to me. I had one firefighter reach out to me. I had several people in City Hall reach out to me and say, we have a social media policy here in Methuen. And if I did that, I would be out of a job. And if I tried to sue, I would lose because we have a social media policy here in Methuen. Now, I'm not saying I think she should be fired. Quite frankly, if I was the mayor, I would not fire her because I'm a First Amendment absolutist. However, if she was mayor and her chief of staff said Obama's a piece of shit and everybody who voted for him is too, do you think that person would still have their job today? Because I believe in holding people to their own standard. And if she was mayor and someone said that about Obama or Biden, you know and I know they'd be out of a job tomorrow. Absolutely. Today. Before they finished hitting send, they would lose their job. So if I was mayor, I wouldn't fire her, but here's what I would do. I would move her position out of chief of staff because she's dealing with the public. And if you hate half of the people that you serve, you shouldn't be in that job. I would make her a clerk down somewhere in DPW in the Inspectional Services Office in the assessor's office. I would put her somewhere where she doesn't have access to the public, because if your level of hatred for half of your community is that high, that you are so emboldened that not once but multiple times post something like that on Facebook, then how do we know you're not retaliating against members of the public that you think supported Donald Trump? You drove by their house, you saw a Trump sign on their lawn, and then they come in for a permit for something, or they come in asking for help with the city, and you're not treating them differently because of that.
What did she call the group of people that support Trump?
Pieces of shit?
Oh, okay. Just a little reminder. But shout out to the Methuen school teachers who are amazing at what they do.
I wish I could agree with you on that.
I love Methuen. They educate my children.
Some of them are good, some of them not so good. I did support the unions in their contract negotiation. Everybody fell over when they saw that, because I'm somewhat anti-union. But when I see a union getting screwed, I don't mind helping them. All right, so that's that. So she did apologize, and I know that the Tribune's looking to do a story, because the Tribune ran out of ideas 30 years ago, and all they do is follow my Facebook page for their stories. So I know they're calling around today looking for a story on this. I have one more thing, then we're going to get to one Manny Gonzalez. All right. So
do you want to say thank you to the sponsors, or?
Oh, how did I miss that? All right, let's take the sponsors. Where did I have my sponsor list? It's not there.
Century 21 Bank. Chris's Barbershop.
There we go. Century 21 McLennan Real Estate, the Zany Pesci Law Office, Marsan & Son Construction. Thank you, Ronnie, for your donation. EIX Investigation and Gun Trading. The Bond. Nope, not that one. Tomo and Shaken Seafood. Clear Path for Veterans New England. AFC Urgent Care. Right now, our highest donor, $4,000 for the scholarships. $4,000 out of AFC Urgent Care. Thank you to Zaka Shafiq over at AFC. Pleasant Valley Landscaping Contractors. Prime Insurance, the Doug Mercurio Law Office. Doug is going to be our co-MC at the Bash this year.
I saw it.
So I was looking for an MC, and I was actually looking for somebody like Jaina. We actually considered you.
Yeah.
Your name got thrown into the hat, and I said, well, it's her first Bash. She should
should
know what the Bash is before she can
I need to focus on looking really good at
Right, but if you do well, the MC job might be yours next year. So I'm just letting you. I shouldn't say that out loud, but so Doug is Chris's Barbershop, Enterprise Bank. I understand that the girls from Enterprise Bank are coming to the Bash.
Woo! Now, get the wallets ready, guys.
So I don't know if they're taking a table. They haven't reserved a table yet. They only have a few left, but I have reserved a table, just in case they decide they want a full table, because we need the Enterprise Bank girls sitting up front where I can see them. That's all I can. When I'm up on stage and I look out and I see the Enterprise Bank girls, I know I'm doing okay. W3ON, 4-Star Lighting, a free shout-out to Stadium Chiropractic, Salvatore's Restaurant, which is donating the dinner for our Bash next week, and Attorney Paul Lambert, and our friends at JG's Ice Cream, the Jafrida brothers, right there up on the screen. Right there on the screen. It's everything's opposite. I'm going this way. You'd think after doing this for like 30-something years, I'd have this down. All right, one more thing. What's that?
I said JG's.
JG's Ice Cream, the Jafrida brothers, and they actually gave $500 as a sponsor of the Bash. Now, we do have one thing I want to clarify. So we do have, on a regular basis, people will call and say, what's the difference between sponsoring the Bash and doing a scholarship donation? Is it the same thing? It's not. So if you donate, so we had somebody donate $1,000 this week, and they used Venmo, and they Venmo'd me $1,000. Venmo takes 3%.
Okay.
So I didn't get $1,000. I got $970 because $30 goes to Venmo. So we don't say, okay, you donated $1,000, we're going to give $970 to the scholarship kid that you're donating to. We kick in the extra $30. So $58,000 was our take last year. 3% of that is $1,800. We calculated right before last week's show. So the sponsors who sponsor the event help us pay for the expenses so that we don't have to take scholarship money away from the kids. And we can give, if you donate $100, the kid gets $100.
Okay.
All right? And so we use the sponsorship money to help pay for the awards, the tablecloths, the physical tickets. We sent out a mailing to 600 businesses.
Yeah, logistics, all the logistics.
All of that stuff costs money. And most places, in fact, 99% of the nonprofits that do charity work, if you donate $100 to muscular dystrophy, $100 doesn't go to muscular dystrophy.
Oh, no.
Maybe $60 goes to muscular dystrophy, if you're lucky, right? Some of them, like
I think when you go and you shop and they say you want to donate $1 to the children in need or something,
right,
they keep like half of it.
Yeah, at least half. Some
at
of
least
them,
half,
right?
Yeah.
So what we tried to do with the bash, because there's so many charities out there that are grifting, we wanted to make sure that we didn't get that reputation and that people would want to give to us. So if you give $100, if Manny tomorrow gives us $100 for a scholarship, that kid gets $100. And if he sends it by Venmo and we end up eating $3 out of that, we use the sponsorship money for that. And when we buy the awards, we buy the tablecloths, we send out the mailings, and we use money for stamps and all that stuff. None of that comes out of the scholarship money. 100% of what you donate goes directly to the kids. So I just wanted to make that distinction, because somebody did a sponsorship, and then they called me and said, how come you didn't add it to your scholarship total? And I said, because you did a sponsorship, not a scholarship. I can change it if you want. If you want, I can take your $500 and give it to a kid. But I need you to direct me. I need you to tell me you want me to give it to the scholarship, or you want me to do for that. So 50% of our so we have a 50-50 raffle.
Yep.
Half of that is going to go to TMF, Family Dinner for the Homeless, unless we make more money on the actual raffle, for the raffle items.
Okay.
So we have a regular raffle for items, and we have a 50-50 raffle. Whichever one is higher, we're going to give half of that to TMF so they can feed the homeless.
Nice.
So if you have a raffle item you want to donate, this is the time to get to me. All right. One more thing. Let's pull up the tote board. Here's where we are as of right this second. Then we're going to get right to Manny. So here's where we are right this second as of Thursday, the 20th of March, 2025. Lawrence High, Junior ROTC, the Eugene Smith John Radke Memorial Scholarship, J. Ronnie Ferrin from Lawrence High School. He's the commander of the Junior ROTC, has $10,050. Natalie Delano, wow, did she just come out of nowhere this year? She was one of our first kids that we picked. By the way, if you look at any of our previous tote boards, Whittier is always at the bottom. It's always one of the bottom two. Always, every single year. It's never gotten above, I think, 6,000. This year she's at 8,665. The Dan Cody Memorial Scholarship. This one's a little surprising. Right now they're at 8,330. But then again, last year at this time they were in second place with 7,500. So they're always late bloomers. They always pour it on at the end. Let's hope that they can do that. We'd like to see her in the top two. Oh, I'd like to see every kid in the top two, right? But you just can't. I was just having that conversation with Manny a few seconds ago. Braylon McGuire, 8,330. The Phil Glendyke Memorial. Boy, am I rooting for this kid. She came to TMF a couple of times to help feed the homeless. It's one of the reasons we picked her. Her name is Abby Mendes, and she's from Methuen High School. It's the Phil Glendyke Memorial Scholarship. She's going to be a special needs teacher. Phil Glendyke was a special needs teacher, so this was a really good fit. $6,750. The Greater Lawrence Tech, Thomas Costas, $6,200. The Dan Strange Memorial Scholarship, this one kind of breaks my heart. I miss Dan so much. He came to the bash every year. He helped fund this scholarship for Haverhill High School. This is why we named it after him when he passed away in 2020. Cecilia Geyers at $6,210. And then we have the Edmund Lowe Scholarship, which the student will be picked in April. Edmund Lowe is the first American troop to die in Afghanistan. He's from Salem, New Hampshire. His parents are friends of mine. His dad is now a friend of mine. His mom passed away 2 years ago of COVID. They picked their kid at their bash. They have like a spaghetti dinner that they have at Salem High School in April or May. And then they pick their kid. We go to their event, and we help them present their check. So they're a Gold Star family. They get a free table every year. We put them right up front with my family. They're going to be there this year, and they're at $4,250. So we just give them a check made out to the Edmund Lowe Memorial Scholarship Fund, and then when they pick the kid, we go to their event, and they call us up, and we help them do the presentation. So we are at a total right now with 8 days to go, $50,455. Our total last year was $58,100. We are about 7,000, a little bit less than 7,000, maybe a little more than 7. I went to Lawrence High. I got to count on my fingers. Sorry. But we're a little bit more or less than $7,000 away from our goal. I think we can do that in a week. There's a lot of people that have not checked in. I was a little disappointed, Manny, and the Lawrence firefighters this year. They usually help us out, and not returning calls this year. And so when I got a call from you, and I know you're going to be helping out, and I got a call from Mike Delaney last night, and I said, geez, what happened to your colleagues? Like, we've always been very good to these guys, and I don't understand. And the last couple of years at the Relief's Inn, too, they kind of seemed like they didn't really want us there anymore. So I kind of got that redheaded stepchild feeling out of those guys. I don't know if it's because I'm friends with Brian and they're mad at me for being friends with Brian. I don't know what the issue is. But we would love to have their participation because whatever they donate for the scholarships, I don't see a penny of it. You know, we don't take it out on the kids. Just please help the kids out. If you're mad at me, I don't care. Use the money. I'll put a program ad in the book and say that Tom Duggan's a horrible person. I couldn't care less. But you got to do something to help these kids out because
use your logic, not your emotions.
Right. Don't take it out on the kids. We have one kid on our scholarship board whose father, I guess, is involved in some political stuff, and a lot of people don't want to donate to that scholarship because of the father. And I've said to people on the phone, I've said, listen, so you're going to take it out on his kid because you don't like the father. So how would you like it if someone took it out on your kid who's trying to go to college because they didn't like you? Do you think that would be fair? And actually got a donation out of that one guy. But it's very difficult. People are very petty today. And this is a night of amnesty, as you know, right? Because Willie Lantigua came walking in one year, and people started booing, and I yelled at everyone. I said, you stop. This is a night of amnesty. If someone walks in that door, I don't care if it's Jim Jajuga, someone walks in that door and they want to help us raise money for these scholarship kids, we put aside all of our political bullshit, and we welcome them as a member of the Valley Patriot family, if only for a night, and buy them a drink. And when Willie came in, people started booing him. I said, I want someone to buy him a drink. I'll reimburse you. Buy him a drink. He's here. That took a lot of balls for Willie to walk in the door after all the things I was saying about him on the front page of my paper. So, sitting to my left, to your right, a good friend of the Valley Patriot Bash. He is a winner of the Officer Tom Duggan Hero Public Safety Award. He's also, I think we gave him another award. We gave him the Public Service Award a few years later for his work with Keel Lawrence. We're going to talk about all of that today. One, Manny Gonzalez, a hero firefighter. This is somebody that I have seen going to fires, for the last 20-something years, 30-something years. One, Manny Gonzalez running into burning buildings and pulling people out and doing what you need to do. You ran for mayor once before. And when you ran for mayor once before, people said, I might have even said it myself, people said, he's just too nice. He'd probably be a good mayor, but he's just too nice. And this is a business where you really can't be too nice. And I said, well, Mike Sullivan was too nice. Everybody said that about Mike Sullivan. Mike Sullivan was too nice. How do you answer that? How do you belay people's hesitation that, yeah, we like him. We know he's a hero. I've met him a bunch of times. He always comes over and hugs me. He's a super nice guy. He helps the community. Just a little too nice. What do you say to that?
Well, we have a lot of work to be done. First of all, Tommy, thank you for having me here.
Thank you for coming. I appreciate having you here.
Giving me the opportunity to get to the people, right? Because that's what it's going to be about. People are going to say things. They're going to say that I'm too nice, that I'm whatever it is. I just got to keep knocking on the doors, getting to the heart of the people, and let them know that that nice person could deliver that message that they need. That could be the difference without having to be yelling and kicking and biting. I think there is too much going on right now. There's too much tension. Mm-hmm. Humanity is at risk right now. And I think that a nice person like me who cares about Lawrence, who is basically running on one Lawrence, right, which is a call to action that's going to require every one of us to participate. That's the only way we're going to get to one Lawrence.
Right.
So, yes, so people still saying he's too nice.
Too nice. That's every person I talk to says, love the guy, too nice.
So interesting, right? So what do you want from a mayor, from a candidate? Somebody that's always yelling and screaming and who loses control when things get hot?
Well, no, I think the concern is if you needed to fire somebody, we saw this with Mike Sullivan. Mike Sullivan on multiple opportunities to fire people that were doing bad things in City Hall. But he was just too nice. Like, I remember sitting with Mike Sweeney in his office one day talking about a certain individual, and he said, Tommy, grabs my hand, Tommy, she's got a mortgage. She's got 2 kids in college. you really want me to fire her? And I was like, Michael, she's stealing from the taxpayers.
Yeah.
How do you not fire her? And he didn't want to do it because he was just too nice. It was actually, it's a good trait to have when you're a public servant, but when you're managing people, it's not always a good thing.
That's right.
So can you balance that? Can you be the bad guy when you need to be the bad guy?
Absolutely. And it doesn't even have to be the bad guy. It's just you got to do what needs to be done. Transparency, integrity, and respect. If you have those three, it's going to help you go far ahead in life. You're going to run government a better way. You surround yourself with the right people that are going to advise you properly, that when you have to make tough decisions, if you do it with integrity and respect, you're going to be able to let this person know. Because right now in Lawrence, and I'm going to worry about Lawrence, there's a lot of people saying, why doesn't this person let go this person? For whatever reasons they are, I would make that decision. Tough decisions got to be made.
Right.
But you just, it's
so you have
how
no problem if you would fire somebody or not give someone a promotion if they were doing something that you thought wasn't, that wasn't in the best interest of the taxpayers. You could pull that trigger. Because those of us who love you, and I do love you, I wouldn't have given you 2 awards over the last 10 years, 15 years. Actually, 2013, I think, was the first award we gave you. I looked it up last night. If I didn't love you, as a human being, what you've done for Heal Lawrence, what you've done in the community, I think is great. I think I share some people's hesitation, and those of us who are on the outside looking in, I don't live in Lawrence, so I have no dog in this fight, are looking, saying, just could Manny not elevate somebody or fire somebody or discipline somebody if he had to?
I tell you what I wouldn't do. I wouldn't be firing or hiring people on personal vendettas or political favors, because I truly believe that when you get put there, when the voters vote you in, you represent them. And sometimes we forget about that. And I've been a voter most of my life and not the leader, right? I haven't been that person that has sat on that chair. But you have to make those decisions. As a private investigator for almost 18 years, we have had to let go investigators for whatever reason. And it's because it's our name, it's our license. As the mayor, it's going to be you, and you owe it to the people to answer those questions.
Right.
When the people say, hey, we elected you, and you're hiring all these people, but why are you retaining so-and-so who just violated whatever it was? You have to really sit down with your team and say, hey, we cannot keep this. If you keep that person, are you going to be able to deliver the best services possible for your constituents?
How are you going to handle your fire department? You worked there for so many years. You know these guys. A lot of them are your friends. They've been your colleagues. You've run into burning buildings with these guys. You've had each other's back. You've saved each other's lives. What happens when you step out of this role, you become mayor, and they come to you for the contract, and you say, I don't think that's a good contract for the city? Are you going to be able to say to those guys, and you know how they get when you say no to any of them, right?
Yes.
Are you going to be able to say to those guys, hey, what are you doing? I can't support this? Or are you going to go along to get along to be the nice guy?
Treat those guys with respect. Transparency, integrity, and respect, right? I know as a union brother what it is that unions do for the membership. People think that we as unions, that we look for everything and that we want the best of everything. And what we want is fairness. We want a contract that resembles the work that we do, and we usually look around other departments, other cities similar to us, the size of our department, the bulk of work that we do. They just want to be treated fair, and they are going to have a seat at the table. And I have the integrity to say, guys, I know that I used to be one of you guys. I want to be a partner in business, but I don't have what you're looking for.
Right.
And we did that with Willie Lantigua. When Willie came in, Willie wanted X, and we said, hey, whether we supported him or not, we gave him 2 24-hour shifts for free. We returned 5 sick days. We were looking for ways to just break bread and say, let's see what we can do with this mayor. He's telling us that he doesn't have this. We ended up with layoffs, stations closed.
I remember I covered all of it.
We don't want any of that. We want to deal with municipal unions, whether it's fire, police, DPW, the teachers unions, whatever union it is. I am going to treat them with respect. I know, being a union brother for 29 years, I know what they're about. I know what they look for. So, yes, I would have the integrity to say, I just cannot give you guys that right now. And they would probably be mad, but I understand that because I've been on the other side.
Right.
So I will understand that if they get mad at me.
I'm asking these questions because this is what I'm hearing. I'm trying to ask the questions of the feedback that I'm hearing from people. And I'm going to ask the good and the bad. I'm not just going to ask the bad, but I got to go one more bad. So I was a little frustrated over the last couple of months because it's very hard for me to ever publicly criticize cops and firefighters, as you know. I've spent my life trying to build up the Lawrence police, trying to build up the Lawrence firefighters, defending them sometimes even when I probably shouldn't. But I've been very frustrated over the last couple of months over I read the contract and I read the RFP for the new dispatch center. And I felt as though some firefighters, not all of them, but some firefighters were being very misleading to the public to make it seem as though they were all going to have to move over their dispatch center over to the new building that's being built. And when I read the RFP and I read the contract, it said that this was a backup. This was always a backup. This was in case we have another Malden Mills fire, in case we have another Columbia Gas, that they were going to be able to merge everything into that one building as a backup option so that you would have the ability to communicate between police and fire, and you had like an airing system that you used to have. But when you used to have the airing system where people from other communities could tie into your frequency and you guys could all communicate together. And then I go on Facebook and I see firefighter union members picketing outside somewhere. I think it was the fire station or maybe City Hall. And they're making it seem as though they're being forced out of Bodwell Street over to this new thing. And they're attacking the mayor, they're attacking the administration, and I said, well, maybe I read that wrong. So I went back and I reread the RFP. I went back and I reread the contract on the new dispatch center, and it didn't say any of the things they said it said. And other people who were political actors on the city council and others picked up on that. A couple of state reps came out and were grandstanding with signs, I'm with the firefighters, this mayor is just so horrible. And I'm like, why is nobody actually talking about what it physically actually says in the RFP? That's one of the things that I want you to address as far as you have one of the highest integrities of anybody that I know. Are you going to be able to say to these guys, hey, what are you doing?
Well, so just to show you my integrity, I was one of the people in front walking, marching with the union. And I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
Because our union did the homework, and no one should be saying that this was the mayor forcing us to move there. It was actually miscommunication. There was so much miscommunication. And I truly believe that if the union was able to speak with our own chief, and he was very adamant for us to move there. So our union did the homework back to state and say, hey, where does it say on the contract that we have to go in there? And they went back, and this recently, the mayor, Octavian, the union, they signed a memorandum of agreement that we don't have to because there's nothing set. And they got this information from the state, Tommy. The state told the administration, nowhere in the paperwork says that you have to.
Right.
And they said, this room, which is whatever the size says because it's being built, that we don't know what it is. They said, as long as it's capable, again, another Columbia Gas, another major incident, can we go in there with police, fire, ambulance? We were not the only ones that got excluded. The ambulance personnel said, we're not going in there.
Right.
And there was no problem. But the chief wouldn't go and say, yes, you don't have to go there. He says, whatever you guys want to do.
Would you keep the chief if you became mayor? The fire chief?
He has to go, and he's going to be too old.
Okay.
I would respectfully review every contract that's out there, whether it's the fire
Do you
chief,
think,
the
do you
police
think there
chief.
should be a mandatory age to retire? That always bothered me. Even when I was a young kid in my 20s, that always bothered me that there was a man. I knew Santo Nicolosi. Did you know Santo Nicolosi way back when? He was a city engineer. He was I think he was in his 90s. Right?
I
And he
heard
was
of
still
him, but
doing
didn't
it.
know.
He was still coming in every day. He was a city engineer. He still came in every day and did a better job than the 20-year-olds that were working in that office.
But we got to be careful with that because remember Officer Paul Sutton. When he got too old, he petitioned for 4 more years, and they gave him the extension. And what happened? He was so old, he ended up crashing, and eventually he ended up dying. So maybe case by case is different. But honestly, on fire alarm, right? The union was advocating. We operate at Bodwell Street with no problems. We handle the gas emergencies from Bodwell Street.
Yep.
What the union was saying, if the building needs some repairs, let's do it. I was thinking from the Homeland Security thing, I'm saying with everything going on, if you put all your eggs in one nest, you put all your emergency personnel on the new building, and something
goes
happens
wrong.
to that building,
right?
we're all gone. We're wiped out. So I was thinking, keep us there, keep them here, and if something goes wrong with the police, maybe we can operate out of the fire alarm, or fire alarm can operate out of the police. At least you have two choices. But yeah, there was a lot of misinformation. But when the state told Octavian and the mayor, that this was what they said to get the money to build the building. They said you got to check the boxes. Can you have police? Can you have fire? Can you have EMS?
Right.
And they said, yeah, the box is checked.
Yeah, it was
Here's
part of the
money,
it was
build
part
it.
of the funding formula.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, there was a lot of miscommunication there. But I'll be upfront and I'll say it. I was one of the people walking with the brothers.
Right. If you win,
When I win,
okay, everyone says that, but only one guy wins.
I will win.
Yeah. What if the police chief hasn't been chosen yet, and he probably won't be? We don't know how the current mayor is going to handle that. There's still another 10 months, 8 months, 9 months, whatever it is. What are you going to do to bring in a new chief? Are you looking to bring somebody in from within? Are you looking to bring in somebody specifically from the outside? Does it matter to you? What's going to be your criteria? The police department seems to be the one department of government in Lawrence that is in total disarray right now. I think most people would agree DPW is doing a great job. They're paving 1 million roads. They're doing some good things. Fire department does amazing stuff, even though half these guys are mad at me. I don't care. I think those guys are doing amazing work. The school department is now back in the hands of this. It's improving, right? It's coming back. Yep. But the police department seems to be in constant disarray ever since Roy left. So do you have a formula? Do you have an idea in your head as to not who specifically, but what kind of, do you want an insider or an outsider? Are you looking for anything in particular? Do you have a different standard of who you might want to hire rather than the person that's there now?
So one thing that I'm not going to be is a hypocrite, right? On the fire service, we always try to go within, right? We're very strong about our members are very qualified to do the job in the fire service. The police department, I'm trying to learn about what it is that they need. And you definitely, my bias would be that I would love to be somebody from within, but that's why you do nationwide search. And you hope that your local guys apply for the job and you review the applications.
Right.
But do it with integrity. Don't just pick the guy because it's local just because it's local. It has to be the best guy to lead that department. We have one of the hardest working police departments in the region, if not in the state. And I really mean
in
that.
New England, for sure.
I really mean that. Those guys,
The guys at the bottom. My concern is the guys that are middle management, the guys that are wearing the gold shields. I'm frightened that one of them is going to become chief. Given the politics that they play, the phone calls to post, the targeting of other officers, we all know what's gone on over there. And some of them are great guys and some of them are not. So I don't want to disparage all of them, but we know what's going on over there. And so when people in City Hall and the City Council say we should be hiring from within, it sounds good. And under any other circumstance with any other chief leaving, I was always for the inside guy. But reading those text messages, I'm sure you read them, the text messages during the investigation of William Castro between superior officers in post, superior officers and the investigators. Boy, I read those things, and I was like, boy, I hope none of these guys ever become chief.
I think that as mayor, you just got to remove yourself from being too personal attached, emotional attached. You have to be the leader. You got to have your team, your chief of staff, your advisors, and say, what is it that we have here? Mm-hmm. What is best for our department?
Would you ever think of bringing Roy Vass back?
Roy Vass is not coming back.
But if you wanted it, and you know, there are people who say that he wants it. I don't talk to him as much as I used to, so I don't know.
Listen, I'm friendly with Roy Vass, and I respect him a lot.
Would you bring him back if he wanted to come back?
And
if he applied?
He would have to apply, and he'll go through the process.
Okay.
And but Roy is not out there by any means because he's been friendly with me. I don't want people to get the idea, oh, he's helping Manny so he can be the chief.
Right.
I don't want to lead anybody to believe that.
I'm just asking because there hasn't been any stability in the department since he left. And there are a lot of people saying we wish we had him back.
But enough people don't talk about that issue that I'm concerned because I'm saying, Tommy, and nobody wants to talk about it, but when you go through 5 personnel directors, like 4 police chiefs, 5 chief of staffs, it shows kind of you're disorganized. You got to tighten it up a little bit because people will talk about that, and it leads to this kind of public safety. To me is number 1 on my book, and that's one of my top.
Nobody can deny that. Nobody can deny that if you became mayor, public safety would be the number 1 thing.
Absolutely. So I would definitely work on what can we do for police officer retention. We cannot. We're short, and I don't care what people say. Well, Haverhill is short. Methuen short. I said I care about law.
It doesn't matter
what
are
we
going
to do here? I'm not. Don't give me this excuse that other cities are going through the same. It's what are we going to do here? Whether it's incentivizing, whatever it is, you don't want your officers to graduate and bail out.
Right.
Whether it's money, the morale is down, leadership is not in place. Find the way to stabilize your public safety department before you go looking for help and partnerships in any other places. And I threw that out there because you saw that. They try to build partnerships with Dominican Republic and New Hampshire. Start at home, and then you can branch out.
Okay.
But take care of your home first.
There is a value to that, though, working with New Hampshire
Absolutely.
with the drugs and everything else.
Absolutely.
Right?
So I give credit where credit's due. That's all good.
Right.
But it looks better when you go up there, you're taking care of home front first. Because in the eyes of those politicians, you look like you're organized and you're looking for help.
Right.
That's all. But credit where credit's due. It is a good thing.
Show me how objective you are. Tell me 3 things you think the current mayor is doing good. What is he doing right?
Well, the first thing that I want to do, give him credit, which I have publicly, is that when you come in to take over the incoming mayor, make sure that the good projects that are happening get finished. So the schools, right? You take that, somebody started them, make sure that you finish them. So the police station, right? Projects that were already in the plan, in plans, he's doing it.
So he's doing the follow through from before he came.
So I give him that props on that.
Mm-hmm.
That is happening. The other things, there's a lot of good things that are happening, and that's why I say I want to capture the progress, continue building on it, and fix the things that are not being done well.
I'm asking because my next question is going to be tougher. Because I thought about this a lot last night when I knew you were when Lenita finally said, okay, he's coming. I started thinking, okay, I don't want this to be a fluff interview because everybody knows you're my friend.
Yep.
And I want people to think, I don't want the other side. I don't want the Brian DePini supporters to say, oh, well, look, you just threw him a fluff ball. But I also don't want it the other way. I don't want people to think I was too tough on you because I'm friends with Brian as well. The talk among certain city councilors infuriates me. Actually, I'm gonna remove that. My opinion doesn't matter. I don't live in Lawrence. There's talk among city councilors. There's talk on Spanish language radio. It's all over Facebook. Corruption. It's all I hear. People love to throw that out. They called Dan corrupt. They called Willie corrupt. Well, Willie was kind of a little corrupt. But they called Mike Sullivan corrupt. They called John Buckley corrupt. They called Larry Lefebvre corrupt. Every mayor has been accused of corruption. But then when you ask people for actual instances of corruption, they give you instances of like maybe favoritism or a bad decision, but they're not really giving you corruption. What are your thoughts about the public scuttlebutt that's out there about this administration being corrupt? Do you think this administration is corrupt? And if you do, can you give me an example? And if not, how would you navigate around that?
I think that there's a lot of turbulence, and I need to navigate those waters the best way possible. I'm not going to talk about corruption, but I truly believe that they could be more transparent. And I think that what really pisses people off in Lawrence is that when they have to dig for information. Because remember, when this administration came in, there was a lot of money sitting there from the Alpha funds, COVID money as they call it. And I was told by one of the closest allies to Brian, says, luckiest mayor ever. No other mayor has come into this city with that much money waiting there.
Right.
So, but people get frustrated.
Financially, Dan did do a good job in not overspending.
So we have to think. We have a lot of money today, but we have to plan for those unexpected expenses, emergencies, or whatnot. So I truly believe that I'm not going to go and say they are corrupt. The behavior that people don't like is the favoritism, the placing of a lot of friends in important positions in particular. You got to put people that are qualified. The job should be on merit, not on a political favor. And
So
remember,
do you
Tommy,
think
that
this-
they all do it.
So do you think this mayor has hired people who are not qualified?
This administration has hired people that are not qualified, absolutely, or at least not the best candidate to provide the best services for the residents of Lawrence. Absolutely, and I think that they all do it. It's just that it's been a little bit too much of it. We all mayors, I seen it.
Or
right?
maybe it's a little too transparent and we wouldn't know about it.
No, I think that when you have been on different teams and you know how things go, then no one has to tell you because you were inside at one point.
Right.
And again, I am approaching retirement in my career. I could have chosen retire, enjoy my grandkids, or continue serving at a higher level, and that's what I chosen to do.
How
But
many grandkids you got?
3.
How
2
old?
boys and a girl.
How old?
4, 3, and 2.
Oh, those are great years.
Yeah.
Those are
so
great
my
years.
oldest is going to be 5 now.
Oh, wow. And they're
but-
local? You get to see them like
Yeah,
all the time? Oh, that's awesome.
and when we talk about teachers, I'm married to one for a long time, and she is hardcore, loves, passion. So I got to give it to you. I got to give it to the teachers. It's not easy being an educator today, and at times you want to feel respected, that you have that they have your back. So, and I say it both ways. It's not easy being a teacher, and it's not easy being a kid, being a student.
Oh, for sure.
So I
Especially
would work
today.
extremely hard with the new superintendent, whoever the superintendent is when we come in, to make sure that we find that disconnect, because there is a disconnect. And parental involvement has to be huge for a public school sector and even the private. For that program to succeed, there's got to be that connect. We have to reconnect.
What do you think about the mayor's proposal on the school committee now that Lawrence is regaining some control back of the schools? He wants to have part of the school committee elected, part appointed by him, with him breaking the ties, which kind of gives him most of the control. He is an elected official, right? So it is still in the hands of the voters, but some people are upset that not all the school board members are going to be chosen directly by the voters. Where do you stand on that?
So I couldn't be more clear, and because integrity and transparency, I was at the council, in front of the council, letting them know that I was against it. And my thing was
You're against the current proposal?
I'm against the current proposal,
Okay.
the home rule petition.
Okay.
And it means no disrespect to the councilors that voted for it.
Right.
No disrespect to them. They believe, right, they're chosen to lead, they're elected, and they felt that that was their best way to represent the constituents. So I respect them for that, but I didn't agree with it.
Right.
And this is my thing, Tommy. I said, so that current board was operating, campaigning, running for re-election when they have no voice, no power.
Right.
And we didn't have a superintendent. Now we have a superintendent. We're working to get out of receivership, but now they won't get a chance to work with them, because now by January they'll be up
Right.
for election. In November they'll be for
See,
election.
I care much less about the people holding those jobs. They're politicians. They're running to be part of the Democrat Party. They're running to maybe run for something else later on, and maybe some of them have altruistic motives. But I care much less about the politicians as I do the structure of government. And having been being a former school committee member myself, I think ideally school committee members should always be elected, should never be appointed. However, Lawrence is a very different animal now, because Lawrence schools were so badly managed, it was so poorly run, that kids are being so badly educated that the state had to come in and take control of the schools away. And unfortunately, for those of you who haven't followed this, the state came in and did a worse job than what was being done before they took over. Like, the kids who are being educated as of last year were doing far worse in reading, math, science, and every other category than it was way back when Wilfredo LeBoy was here.
Right.
So now, do we give it back to the I think I see both sides, and I don't really have, a dog in this fight. It's a very difficult position to be in. No matter which side you take, 50% is going to disagree with you. How are you going to handle that?
Well,
how are you going to handle the controversy of whichever side you're on, right? You've taken a side.
Sure.
You're going to have to deal with the other people who now think that that's wrong.
But you know what's interesting? If you look at the meeting and the people that were voicing their opinion, I heard a lot more people saying, we don't want the new format. We want to keep it the way it is. So when people say, I was elected to represent you, that is true. But if I voted for you, Tommy, and then I come to you and I said, Tom, I don't like where you're going with that. I elected you to represent me, but hold that, stop. I don't like that. So at least listen to me,
Right.
to what I'm saying, because there could be a lot
Should
more
be
of us.
responsive.
Absolutely. So there's still lack of information on the appointees. Because I was at a neighborhood meeting recently, and a lady asked somebody, so who is going to search for the appointees? And the person said, the city council. I said, wait a minute, isn't the administration the one that's going to look for the appointees, for that group of people?
Right, the mayor's office is going to appoint them or nominate them to the city council. The city council is going to ratify
That's
it.
correct. The person
Right.
explained it different.
Right.
And I said, send me the language, because I want to read about that. And it's just like you explained it. The mayor, the administration is
Right.
going to grab those people and say, hey, city council, here they are.
Right.
You guys go through them and come up with 3.
Right.
That's
Why
just,
do you think Brian and his administration have such a hard time with public relations right now? It seems like, I know that the Castro thing made a lot of people crazy, and there's a lot of there's always pick-piling. Whenever something controversial happens, you always have people over-exaggerating how bad it is, and then you always have the people that think that, like, Brian can do no wrong no matter what he does, and then everybody runs to their corners. But why do you think someone as religious, someone as nice, when you meet him, he's one of the nicest people you could ever meet, someone who I think has been really transparent, even though everyone runs around saying he's not transparent. We know about all the warts because we talk about them, right? We see them on Facebook every day. You wouldn't know about them if he wasn't transparent. So why do you think he's got such a PR? Is he just bad at PR? Is he bad at management? Is the criticism unfair? Or does Brian kind of own some of this stuff? Like, what do you think?
I think he owns some of it.
Really?
I think that when you're the mayor, you're the leader.
Right.
And if anybody else is doing something different than what your vision is, it's on you.
So what's he getting wrong? What would you change day one if you win, you step in January, day one, what are you immediately looking to change what he's doing now?
Listen to the people. We have to do an audit and go department by department and find out exactly, first of all, me promising people anything, we don't even know what we're going to inherit, what we're going to get when we get there. So you have to, the first thing you do is first of all, let's get there, right? Me talking about what would I do, what I need to do is get to the doors and knock on 1,000, 10,000 doors to give me a chance. And that's just to give me a chance to be there in November instead of talking about what am I going to do. So I have a lot of work to be done, but I would definitely be transparent. My administration, people would just look through, what is it that you're looking for? It's right there. It's on the website. So you don't have to come to my office to talk to me. It's right there.
What would you be proactive about? Is there something that everybody runs for office? When I ran for school committee, I had ideas in my head that when I get in, I'm going to champion this new thing, this new after-school program that we wanted to do that nobody had ever done. Do you have anything that you proactively want to get in and start? Just something, new ideas, anything new that you can throw out? I'm trying to give you red meat for your base that they can run around. They can say, if Manny gets in, he's going to do this.
A safer city, and I was definitely talking to people the other day. I want to promote neighborhood association meetings. There are some that are struggling. The people in the community are not being informed. One thing that I criticize Brian a lot is that he has forgotten that Lawrence is not only Spanish, and that you cannot go on a radio on Wednesdays to give an update on what's going on in the city on the same radio show on Wednesdays, and the people that I'm knocking on doors, they go, we don't know what's going on in Lawrence. So I would come up with find a way, find a channel, find something that people that don't speak Spanish would also get what's going on. So I really want to strengthen, like Tower Hill, for example.
Or you mean like the Valley Patriot?
Whatever it is, the Valley Patriot, the Tribune, Rumble, whatever it is, radio stations, but you got to inform the community as a whole. So I truly believe that when you have a police department that short staff, then you got to find other ways to keep people safe. And when you build neighborhoods, people will watch out for each other. They will care for each other. They'll report stuff. But right now, it's not happening. I will go to neighborhood association meetings where people can actually see me and talk to me, not just send the fire chief and the police chief. I will go too.
Right.
So yes, a safer city is something that I'm champion on.
I happen to think, and I wrote an editorial, I happen to think that one of the problems Lawrence has is that even the insiders, the city councilors, people who work in City Hall, the people that go to all the meetings, are down on Lawrence themselves. I wrote an editorial 2 months ago praising the city council and praising the mayor, that even though they're always locking heads, even though they're always on opposite sides, that at the end of the day, they all put aside their personal crap, and they work together, and they do work together. They've gotten some really major projects done, even though they're not always on the same team. And so I wrote this really positive thing about the city of Lawrence, that in my head I thought, once I post this online, every city council is going to say, oh my God, someone's giving us credit for something. Someone's saying something nice about Lawrence, and they were going to share it all over Facebook. Not one counselor, not one school committee member, not one person in City Hall. And I sat back thinking, if I wrote an editorial saying Lawrence sucks, and here's all the reasons why, that would have gone wildfire all over every single social media app, including ones that got invented yesterday, before I finished pushing send. And I think one of Lawrence's problems is that people are so focused, so obsessed on the negative. They're so obsessed on the pettiness that when someone else, I live in North Andover, comes along and says, hey, look, as a journalist, I cover Methuen, I cover Haverhill, I cover Lowell, I cover Lawrence, I cover North Andover. I cover Andover, I cover Drake, I cover Newburyport. Lawrence is the best-run city. It's the best-run community if you're looking at the internal of people disagreeing with each other but still working together. For all of Lawrence's faults, for all of the mayor's faults, for all of the city council's faults, they certainly have some. It's still the best-run municipality if you look at the way that it's run, and not one official shared my story. And then they complain, how come nobody ever says anything good about us? Well, we do, but you refuse to spread the word. Maybe as mayor, you can be the guy that says, when something positive is going on, we're going to have a PR guy in our office that's actually going to push this crap out.
That is definitely going to happen. We're finally going to showcase Lawrence for its for all the potential that Lawrence has and its true values. I truly believe that for once, it's going to come out. The potential is enormous. And the true value.
But I've been hearing that since I was 5. Lawrence has potential.
But I'm not that typical politician that's been in office or is trying to stay in office.
What does it take from Lawrence to start realizing that potential? What does it take?
Listening to the community. Start uniting the community. That's why I'm running on One Lawrence. People want to be part of it. That's why I said during
But the people in the community don't know how to fix it, or it would have been fixed by now.
Well, we got to still hear them. People say, what's your plan of work, Tommy? People say, what's your platform?
Right.
I said, if I have my platform finished and I didn't listen to you, then I'm excluding the people. So I have to include what I hear, what's your ideas, what are your concerns, and make that part of my – I have ideas now. And we talk about it when I knock on a door. But that has to be part of my plan. So the youth of Lawrence, I would look in the camera and say, I need the youth of Lawrence. I want them to feel – in my administration, in my campaign, you're going to have a voice. So please, all the youth in Lawrence, come on. We're going to do this together.
So I want to end with this topic. And you can take as little or as much time as you want. TMF is a group called the Movement Family that on Wednesdays serves a full meal to the homeless every Wednesday night. You've come.
Yes.
They also go out on Saturday mornings, and they bring coffee and donuts to all the different encampments. They do a lot for the city. They get zero help from the city. They get zero help from the state. They get zero help from the federal government. Our government spends more money and more resources and more time helping illegal aliens who just got here 5 minutes ago from some country while they're ignoring American citizens and immigrants, by the way, who are sleeping on the streets of Lawrence, who are sleeping in tents on the banks of the Merrimack River. This administration and the current administration's solution to that, this administration's been good to TMF. I don't want to say they haven't been. They've been very good to TMF. But as far as the rest of the homeless, their solution is to bulldoze the tents and move them along. And when I saw Dan do that, it frustrated me. I see Brian doing that now. It's frustrating me. I get that the homeless commit the disproportionate amount of crime in Lawrence. I also get that the homeless are a disproportionate number of crime victims in the city of Lawrence. What is your thoughts on how to deal with the homelessness problem? Are you going to continue the last two administrations' idea of keep moving them along, keep making their life difficult, bulldozing their tents only to have them pop up somewhere else in a neighborhood somewhere instead of on the banks of the river? Or do you have an idea or a plan as to how to help the people who really need the most help, but a lot of times are the least capable of accepting that help?
So that's a very interesting question because a lot of people don't want to tackle that. A lot of people don't want to talk about it because it's a very complex issue. It's not just
you
Lawrence.
have to actually do work to fix it rather than just give platitudes.
It's not just Lawrence, right? It's nationwide.
Sure.
So people's like, hey, don't get caught up in that topic. Nobody wants to talk about it. Why should you? I said, because I care. The people are telling me, hey, the homeless are stealing my car. The homeless are doing this. I see the good that's going on with TMF. I see other people that are trying to take care of them. You have to get a seat at the table, whether it's with Governor Maura Healey or Kim Driscoll, whoever wants to listen, the churches, the community of faith. We got to start making headway towards solutions. The little Band-Aids, it gives you another day. Bulldoze into a tent, it's going to cost you to move from point A to point B. And guess what? They're human beings. They are naturally going to try to survive. So you got them off of 114 on the right. They move over to Friendly's on the left. I live there, and I see them all the time. Even the state spends all kinds of money getting them out of there. They're going to survive. They're going to go someplace else. You take it from under the bridge, they go to another bridge. These are human beings, so we have to, and nobody wants them, right? You don't want them in front of your house. I don't want them in front of my house.
Yeah, businesses don't want them in their parking
Right,
lots.
but I am going to.
But the Daybreak Homeless Shelter has a capacity of 44. They've got 55 people there every night. The state only reimburses them for 44 people. They actually take in an additional 10 people or 11 people every night and don't get reimbursed for it at all. They've been begging for a new building. The Daybreak Homeless Shelter is basically 2 mobile homes that are welded together. It's not even a full structure. And they've been begging the state, the city, and the federal government for a building to accommodate the people that are on the streets. And I think if Karina Papalato and the people that run the Daybreak over at the Psychological Center had someone in their corner to get them a building that could accommodate the people that are sleeping in tents, you wouldn't have to worry about bulldozing tents. You're always going to have some people that will never come in out of the cold, and then but you whittle that population down by providing a shelter that can accommodate more people, and then you have a much smaller population to try and figure out how to deal with
Tommy, it's about getting real solutions, right? Breaking the tents, bulldozing their tents, especially in cold weathers, right? In the cold weather. So let's bulldoze or let's break the encampment. Now you scatter them out, and then you got to find them where they are because you don't want them to freeze and die to bring them to the shelter. I said, well, you knew where they were. And you know that nobody wants to be surrounded by homeless. But what are the real solutions?
Right.
We have a lot of talking to do. We got to talk to the state delegation. And I heard what you said earlier, is how are you giving priority to those that came yesterday and not the ones that are here?
Right.
That's actually a voice that's been sounding by the residents that are saying, hey, I've been here 5 years. Why would you give preference to them? So I haven't even have to talk about that. The residents are talking about it. And to me, the people of Lawrence are my priority. Whether you vote or you don't vote, you still live here, you're my priority.
Dan Rivera used to say to me, it's one of the things that made me and Dan kind of almost stop being friends. He used to say, the majority of the homeless in Lawrence aren't even from Lawrence. So why should we spend resources on people who aren't even our own people? And I would say, like, not to be an a-hole or anything, but 90% of the people who live in homes in Lawrence aren't from Lawrence. They're from the Dominican, they're from Puerto Rico, they're from El Salvador, they're from Mexico. And you help them because they're in your city now. Why aren't you spending more resources? If you're going to bulldoze the tents, why aren't you giving Karina a new building? Why aren't you taking one of these mill buildings that's sitting there empty and that's been sitting there for 35 years empty and get some kind of funding, community development grants, fix it up, turn it over to Karina, do a public-private, do something, because as time goes on, and yes, Donald Trump is deporting a lot of illegals. It doesn't matter. As time goes on, the population in Lawrence is going to grow. The population of homeless people are going to grow. And if you're not meeting that need, now you're dealing with people sneaking into people's... When I was homeless, I used to break into people's basements and sleep in their basements in the boiler room because that's where it was warm. So I understand the mentality of the people in the homeless, and I also understand the risk that it poses to the residents.
Absolutely. And we're not blinded to that. So definitely treat them with dignity and respect. They're still human beings. Nobody wants them here, but we got to find real solutions.
Right.
We just got to talk to whoever has the power to help you do something about it, but we cannot ignore it. It's real. It's here.
I was hoping the answer was going to be yes. I'm going to get funding for Daybreak. Okay.
We will work on it. We will work on it.
She's waving in planes over
That's
there.
part of conversation, right? We have to talk about it. What is it that we need?
I think Daybreak needs a new building, and I've been pushing for it for like 8 years now, and I'm still pushing, and it's very disappointing that I've got the ear of so many people in power. So many state reps take my calls, but the minute so many state senators, the mayor's office, the city councilors, and then when I get to this topic, it's like crickets. They're like, "Oh yeah, Tom, you're right," and then it never gets done. I want it done. I want it done.
This is not going to be a shot at anybody, but I think I have a better communication skills.
Okay.
So I know that I can get the attention of the state delegation or the governor, whoever it is. You surround yourself with good people with experience in government, and they would make me better, a better leader for our constituents. So,
all right, intern goes waving planes in over there, so I guess we have to wrap this up. Do you have any final thoughts on why people should be considering working on your campaign or voting for you or helping you? And then how do people donate money, contact your campaign, hold signs if they want to help you? What's your contact info, your website if you've got one? Make your final pitch. We'll give you a couple minutes to.
Sure.
And the cameras are right here, by the way.
So Manny Gonzalez running for mayor in 2025, and to be more exact, that's September, right? We got to count that there is going to be more than just 2 people.
Right.
So there's a primary in September, so please come along. I'm going to give you a number. I can fundraise as a municipal employee, so I'm not going to talk about money, but you can contact the campaign at 978-620-6863. So that's 978-620-6863.
Do you have a website?
Yes, MannyForLawrence.com.
MannyForLawrence.com. I missed it. I was spacing.
MannyForLawrence.com. You can come out, volunteer. You go to MannyForLawrence.com and you can sign up to volunteer for us. We're trying to attract a lot of young people because I truly believe that they have been forgotten. Maybe people will say no, they have not, but there's a lot of youth reaching out and saying, hey, we want to have a bigger voice than what we have right now. On Manny for Lawrence, you would have a bigger voice. So we're working hard. We know that we got to knock on a lot of doors. It's a lot of work. We just had a kickoff, and I want to say thank you to everyone that came out to our kickoff at the Elks. We had a blast. There was over 200 people, and people can say all they want, but that room that night was people from every corner of Lawrence, and that's what I envisioned. There was Latinos, there was whites, there was Vietnamese, there was young, there was old, there was regular people, there was professionals. So that's what I want. One Lawrence, but remember what I said. This is a call to action that's going to require all of us to step up and participate. So here we are, Tommy. We have the right idea. We have the best intentions. This is nothing personal. I'm not running against anybody in particular. I'm running to be the mayor of Lawrence. Whoever jumps into the race, I got to stay focused. My team is concentrating on just our campaign, and it's a democratic process, so you all have the right to jump in if you want. I just know that Juan Manny Gonzalez is your choice.
Would you do a debate? If I schedule a debate, would you show up for a debate?
Absolutely. I'm looking in the camera. I said I would do a debate. Remember that in 2013 when I ran, I called for the debate.
You did, yep. In fact, I think you did a debate on my radio show, right?
That's right.
That's right, when I was at WCAP. If you want to meet Juan Manny Gonzalez, he's going to be at our Valley Patriot 21st Anniversary Bash next Friday, March 28th, at the Elks Club, the Lawrence Elks Club, the new home of the Valley Patriot Bash. We're very happy to be there. And thank you, by the way, to everybody at the Elks for accommodating us and welcoming us in. He's going to be there. You're going to get a chance to meet him. So we encourage you to do that, or if you want to contact him. I'm going to be asking the other candidates on. I hope you don't think I was too tough on you.
No, this is what it is, right? If I come in and it's all nice, they're going to say the other, he was too easy on you. So
well, I'm going to get both. When we go off the air, I'm going to get text saying
I'm ready
I was
for
too
battle.
tough on
I'm
you.
a firefighter.
Good for you.
Yes.
Good for you.
I'm ready.
And I wish we had time to talk about Hill Lawrence. But I really want to say, before, as we wrap up the show, what you and Wayne Hayes have done with Hill Lawrence, just the concept alone of what you've done with that is so innovative and so amazing. I really wish that other nonprofits would mirror what you guys are doing to help their communities, because I think it is so incredible. And if you please look it up, we don't have time to talk about it, but it's called Heal Lawrence. But I want to congratulate you for that.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for having me.
Good to see you.
Appreciate it.
You're going to come back on the show, and we're going to do a debate at some point. I want to thank intern girl Carlota Castillos.
Thank you.
For producing the show. Let's wrap up with Mel. And we'll thank the sponsors. All right, I want to thank Century 21, McLennan Real Estate, Marston and Son Construction, Mazzini Pesci Law Office. Where'd it go? EIS Investigation and Gun Trading, Tomo and Shaken Seafood, Clear Path for Veterans New England, who will be at the bash this year. AFC Urgent Care, thank you, Zaka, $4,000 for our scholarships. Pleasant Valley Landscaping Contractors, the Doug Mercurio Law Office, Prime Insurance in North Reading, Chris's Barbershop, where I'm going to get my haircut tomorrow, Enterprise Bank, W3ON, 4-Star Lighting, Stadium Chiropractic, and a free shout out to our friends at JG's Ice Cream, because it's never too cold to have ice cream.
Yummy.
I think Alejandro deserves it.
I think so.
Sounds like Melbourne Taylor says we've got to go home.
Bye, everyone.
So
Thank
go
you.
home already.